Hey guys, my name is Paul Procise, and I do podcasts and I do some streaming things and I do a lot of stuff on the internet. But here today, what I want to do is provide you some amazing information, show you how to research for Colorado Proposition 115. I'm doing it for every single Colorado proposition that's on the ballot this year, and I'd like for you to go ahead and like, subscribe, and share this video. Hit that notification bell because I'm trying to do something a little bit different than what a lot of political commentators are doing, and actually give you the information that you need to vote. You can go to your echo chambers later on in the video, about halfway through. I will give my analysis and what I believe on these things. But up front, I really want to give you guys the best information. Then you guys can go to wherever you want to get your particular confirmation. We all have our biases. We all have our beliefs and our values. But what I want to do is show you where to find the information, go about it the right way, and then we can talk about the political things. I think that's the best way to do it. So what I do is I go to the Secretary of State's website. Why do I do that? It's because that's where you register to put propositions on the ballot. It's where you get the information, and it's where you can get the original documents. So if you go here to my screen here, and we go directly to the Colorado Secretary of State. If you don't know where to find it, it's sos.state.co.us. So since that's kind of hard to remember sometimes, just type in Colorado Secretary of State. Right here on the front page, you can find elections and voting. If you just go through here, you can find all of that. It gets confusing, right? So I just recommend just do Colorado Secretary of State, maybe elections or voting, and go about it that way. And then you go down to statewide ballots for 2020. You scroll down. You can look at all the amendments. You can look at all of the propositions. And what on this particular one that we're doing is 115. Now this is a hotly contested issue, as we all know, and it's about abortion. So before we get into what sides we're on this, let's get into the facts. Okay, so here's how we do it. We can read the summary, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm not the best reader. I've got dyslexia, so it could be hilarious when I read this. But also, here's the thing that you need to be doing is pull up the PDF, the actual filed document of this, because I have found on occasion that this is not exactly representative of what's in here. Imagine that. So it's political. This whole thing is political. So we need to actually find out the source. So yeah, we can go ahead and read the summary, but this tells you exactly what is going to happen if this passes or doesn't pass, what we're voting for or what we're voting against. I think that's very important that we read through this. I'll provide a link below of this particular document. You need to have the original sources. Go to the original source every single time. You should do that for news. Anytime you hear your favorite commentator on TV or whoever you are, if you like MSNBC or if you like Fox News or if you like The Blaze or if you like the Vox or something, like polar opposites, whatever you believe, you need to not take their word for it necessarily, but find their sources, find their documents. This is one way that we can do that with elections. I think it's vitally important. So this section, Part 9, late-term abortion prohibited, it's a Declaration of the People, 1816-901. The people of the state of Colorado find and declare that, and then it goes through all this stuff. So this is the definition of what they're doing. So they actually define what they think abortions are, just gestational age, probable gestational age. 22 weeks means 22 weeks, 0 days gestational age. And then it goes on to say abortion after 22 weeks gestational age prohibited. So after 22 weeks. That's important to remember when we go into some of the sides, because this has been misquoted, frankly, on both sides, because there's misunderstanding. People don't go to the original sources, or they just have their confirmation and they say whatever they want. Okay. Unlawful conduct, notwithstanding any other provision of law except as provided in 1806-903. It is unlawful for any person to intentionally or recklessly perform or attempt to perform an abortion on any other person if the probable gestational age of the fetus is at least 22 weeks. So what that says in this right here is that if the baby or fetus is 22 weeks, then you can't perform abortion. Here's the kicker. You need to read what 18.6.903 is, except as provided in 18.6.903. Well, what are the exceptions? You need to take note of that and then read for yourself what those exceptions are. Are you okay with those exceptions? Are you not okay with those exceptions? The political commentary that you hear out there says that there are no exceptions in this law. I'm reading you the law, and it says that there are exceptions. Exception number 3, paragraph 3. But let's first talk about the assessment of gestational age, because that's important as well. We define what gestational age is. A physician performing or attempting an abortion shall first make a determination of the probable gestational age. And we all know that that's from the last time of menstrual period to when they've tested it. So it's a guess. It's not exact, truly exact science, but it's a really good, very well educated guess. They use ultrasounds and the knowledge of last menstruation and all of that stuff. Like it's pretty scientific. Knowledge about the case of and the medical conditions involved would consider necessary to make an accurate determination of the gestational age. So it's just defining. That's what section 2 is. Section 3. Here is the exceptions that you need to note and understand. If, in the reasonable medical judgment of the physician, an abortion is immediately required to save the life of a pregnant woman rather than an expected delivery of the living fetus, and if the pregnant woman's life is threatened by a physical disorder, physical illness, or physical injury, including a life-endangering physical condition caused by or arising from the pregnancy itself, but not included physical or psychological or emotional conditions such as an abortion not unlawful. In such a situation, a physician can reasonably rely on an assessment of gestation age made by another physician instead of abiding by the provisions of 18.6.903. There are exceptions. Take note of that, because we're going to be talking about that in confirmation bias in here in just a few minutes. Okay. In Colorado Revised Statutes, it goes on, unprofessional conduct definition. Unprofessional, as used in the article, means a violation of Section 18.603. This is all just legalese. I'm not a legal expert. I'm just showing you the facts. Okay, this is what the summary says. Shall there be a change to the Constitution or the Colorado Revised Statutes concerning prohibition of an abortion when the probable gestational age of the fetus is at least 22 weeks and in connection therewith, making it a misdemeanor punishable by a fine to perform or attempt to perform a prohibited abortion, except when the abortion is immediately required to save the life of the pregnant woman when her life is physically threatened, but not solely by a psychological or emotional condition. Defining terms related to the measure, including probable gestation age and abortion, and exempting from the definition of abortion medical procedures, suspend for at least 3 years the license of a licensee whom the board finds performed or attempted to perform a prohibited abortion. Okay. Here's some more important information. These are the people that represent this particular thing. Look them up. These are the people that represent this to the state. Registered issue committees, coalition. This is in favor of this particular bill. Coalition for Women and Children, registered agent Marjorie Klein. You have Alliance for Life, registered agent Teresa Campbell. And in Birthday Abortions Colorado, Marcy Little. Okay, people that oppose abortion access for all. That's registered agent Sarah Taylor Nanista. Sorry, apologies. And then Valerie Kane for students vote no on 115. California. So these are all Colorado, and then an out-of-state group in California. So that's where you get your information. That's a great way to know what the law is. And then here's what I do is I go to the Googles and I Google things and I find out what this is all about. And I start clicking through the links, and these are the things that pop up. I find Ballotpedia. They can be decent source to find resources or things. They tend to lean a little bit left, this site. Sometimes they omit things that are not really in there. It's happened. Trust me, I've gone through and I'm like, wait a second, they completely. But here's the thing about this. It actually does aggregate a lot of information, and I would recommend that you go here as a source for researching these ballot issues. Okay. Then you can start finding people that are for and people that are against. So no, people that are for or against this. No on 115. There's a vote no on 115. We know that students for vote no for 115 are for California. And this is what I typically try to do. I try to find out who the people are behind this. And sometimes you have to go to like the Tracer website and find out who they are, who these people are, who's giving to these organizations. And I can find, because it can be murky, honestly, because you want to vote no and you're actually for something. Sometimes you vote yes and you're actually against it. It's confusing. These things can be confusing. So this is how I go about doing things. Who are for these things? Abortion access for all launched the hashtag no on 115 campaign to defeat the latest abortion ban appearing in Colorado 2020 ballot. We are a robust, growing coalition, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so this is who they are. This is what they claim. So get the facts. We've got the facts about Prop 115. And if you go through it, one of the big things is there's no provision for late-term abortions. There's no exceptions. There's those things. And I find that and I watched a video. My wife and I were watching a show on Hulu a couple of days ago, last night, as a matter of fact, actually. And it said that there are no exceptions in this bill. And that is a flat out false. That's just flat false. I'm not even going into what I believe. I'm just saying that is not true, because we just read that there are exceptions and it can be determined by the doctor. We need to know our facts. And if these people are going to say this, then, I think we need to be a little bit honest here. Now, at the same time, when I've gone to the yes for groups, they have basically, some have claimed that it abolishes all abortion because they're trying to rile up their base. And that is not true either. That's not necessarily what Pikes Peak Citizens for Life claim. I'm just saying that both sides have been kind of hyperbolic. They tend to be very hyperbolic, and we need to know the facts and we need to know the truths. Okay. So that's where you go. That's how you find things. And you can find the process that they went through to get that. Actually, that's a really good thing to do. So this is where we go and we start looking into Denver Post endorses a no vote. That's their editorial opinion board. And then a yes, Respect Life Denver. You can find out what they believe. Okay. So would you go ahead and subscribe, hit the notification bell, share this video. I think this is vital, important information that I've shared with you and how to find things. Now here's where I start to talk about my opinion and who I am as a background. If you've never seen me before, this is the opinion section. Okay. Again, my name is Paul Prohibits. I do podcasts, I do commentary, and I do a bunch of other things out there on the internet. I play some gamings and blah, blah, blah. Okay. So you can find me on Parler. You can find me on Twitter. You can find all of those things. You can find me on paulprohibits.com. And that's how you get a hold of me if you want to talk about any of these issues with me. And you can do in comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Okay. My background is fairly conservative. And now that I lost half of you, I'm also a former youth pastor. former police officer, but that does not necessarily inform what I believe or hold true as in politics. But I will tell you that my faith, I am a Christian first and foremost. That's my identity. I find my identity in Christ and Christ alone. That's where I find my identity. Now, that's a nice thing to say, but I also identify as a former cop, and I'm a family man. I have 3 kids, a wife of 20 years, and we put these labels on ourselves. So I just want to give you that heads up. That's where I'm at. That's who I am. That's my background. So I believe that all life is precious, that we were not only formed in our mother's womb, that life began at conception technically, but our lives actually began even further or beyond that, before that, because God knew us before we were even formed in our mother's womb. So I believe that that is sacred. That is something we need to protect at all costs. I do believe that there is a major problem here in Colorado, specifically because the late terms abortion and what we hear and see are very dishonest debates. And we hear, well, late-term abortions are extremely rare. They hardly ever happen. Let me just read for you a second. I received a text message, of course, from one of these groups that are trying to get me to vote no on the group or on this amendment. And I received a text message from Nikki with Vote Positive Colorado, Repo Health Care, reproductive health care is health care. Proposition 115 limits our right to choose. Can I count on you to vote no on Proposition 115? Here's how I replied. I will be a yes vote. It limits your ability to end the life of cute, defenseless, viable babies. Now I'm being hyperbolic because I kind of am over getting these text messages. I get them probably 2-3 times a day. I probably could have gone about that more judiciously. And then she replied I said, abortions after 22 weeks gestation is in no way health care. I would actually disagree with myself a little bit on that because there are cases, extraordinarily rare, that might be actual health care. We do know that to be true. Okay. But to claim that selective abortions at any point is healthcare is dishonest because it's a choice that we're making to end another person's life. That we need to also consider the healthcare of that other life. That's just my position. That's where I'm at. Okay. Abortion later in pregnancy is a serious, rare medical procedure representing about 1% of all abortions in the U.S. It's a procedure used when something in the pregnancy has gone seriously wrong. Okay, this is one of the things that advocates for abortion do, is they'll take a nationwide stat and apply it to Colorado. The problem in here, Colorado, is we can have abortions all the way up until the day of birth. People are like, no, that's not true. Yes, it is true. There are several, specifically in Boulder, we see further south in Colorado, that there are places, there are abortion clinics here in the metro area, in the greater metro area, and further south that do perform late-term abortions. The one in Boulder does do this all the way up until the day before birth, quote unquote. So to claim that these things are rare and don't happen, they do happen. You need to look at the numbers. They're kind of crazy. And this is what I followed up with. It's 3% of abortions in Colorado. Know your facts. 9,000 plus last year of just abortions. So 272 had late-term abortions. Less than 1% of the 272 were because of something going seriously wrong, as she quoted. The debate is hyperbolic. Things and facts are thrown out there. And then if you don't weed through these numbers, then we get lost. There are a small number comparatively, but that's how you get away with justification of something that I believe is tragic. We have 60 million plus abortions since Roe v. Wade. That's 60 million potential citizens. And if their facts are 1% or only 1% have been late-term abortions, it's just only. It's still a massive number. Do you realize how many people could have been born, could have been scientists, that it could have blah, blah, blah? Well, I don't buy into, and I don't believe the narrative of anybody that claims that you're being saddled with a baby, that we're hurting the life of the mother if we punish them with a baby. I do think that we need to talk about life choices. I do think that we need to talk about education things and healthcare. There's a lot that goes into this, and I get that. But I don't buy in to that we're punishing a person by making them have a baby. There are lots of things that are going on into this debate. Here's the thing that I want to encourage people that are against abortion, that find themselves on the life side. Now, the truth of the matter is we have people of faith or people of science that understand that life begins at conception. So it's not just a faith issue. People that are on that side tend to be either lumped in with the hate-filled people standing outside of abortion clinics with the signs and you're going to hell and those things. So we tend to be lumped in, but at the same time, there's not a lot of people out there showing true mercy and kindness and caring for the women that find themselves in a tragic situation, whether it was their choice, whether it was a choice put upon them, whatever the case may be. I believe that we need to be having more tender, loving, caring responses to the women that find themselves in an unexpected pregnancy. There are great organizations all over Colorado that provide these services. One of them is Alternatives Pregnancy Center. I would encourage you, highly encourage you. You have alternatives.org. You can go to their website and learn more about them. There are just so many things that you can learn or get involved with if you are for life-caring alternatives. Putting your head in the sand or just blasting something out on social media doesn't do anybody any good. In fact, it probably polarizes people even more. And so even though I'm putting this out on social medias, I think that we need to have a better response in how we have these debates and these conversations. Then we can start moving and talking to people and moving them to maybe our side or whatever it is. The problem is we get so nasty, we get so grumpy, we get so hate-filled because we are fighting for life and we get emotional, and these things are truly emotional. I'm not dismissing that, but we need to also take a pragmatic and humble response and position and body positions and our language, what we say and what we do and how we go about it says a lot. And if we can just act in humility, then we can have a better chance in winning people over. And if we can show that there are options for people other than having to take a life of their baby, then I believe that we can have a better chance in winning over and have better chances of ending abortion altogether. It would be great, in my opinion, it would be great if we'd never even had to have a law that says you can't have. If it's just a cultural thing, and it's unacceptable culturally to have a selective abortion. That the only way that you can have an abortion or should ever have an abortion is because the life of the mother is endangered or whatever. The medical things do happen, and you're dishonest to say that they don't ever happen, but it's amazingly rare that happens. Amazingly rare. So let's have better conversations. You can find me on paulprocess.com. Please, again, share this video. Help me get the word out about these issues, these propositions. I already have one out on another proposition, and I'm going to be putting out more here very soon. Please, please, please engage with me. Let me know how I may have missed the mark, or I'm hitting the mark, or how you agree or disagree. Let me know. You guys have a great day. My name is Paul Process. Bye.